I'm often asked the question, are preloads legal or illegal? And the answer, of course, is yes. It all depends on how you do it. Always be guided by certain eternal principles, and you will do just fine. Always be truthful. Always be transparent. Always be reasonable. And always document every step. If you are guided by these 4 principles when you deal with preloaded products on the vehicles you deliver, you will do just fine. Be truthful, be transparent, be reasonable, and document every step. And with regard to that last item, remember this: when it comes to a court of law, if it isn't documented, it probably didn't happen, even if it did. So never forget that last step. When it comes to preloads, we really need to go way back in time to the Monroney label. That label that is now affixed to all new cars. It's printed and applied at the factory. It was named after Senator Mike Monroney, who wanted consumers to have more consistent and truthful information about the vehicles they were purchasing. This happened in the 1950s. People became accustomed to seeing the Monroney label on every new car they ever encountered on the lot. But shortly after the Monroney label became law, someone had the idea of creating what we now call addendum stickers. And those stickers often looked just like the Monroney label and were placed right next to it, which caused confusion. Consumers could be misled into believing that that addendum sticker was actually part of the Monroney label and was actually affixed by the manufacturer, and that the price represented at the bottom of the addendum sticker was in fact the MSRP when it was not. This became a very widespread scam. And in fact, if you do a Google search on addendum sticker, well, this is what I got as my first result: addendum sticker pricing dealer scam. It doesn't have to be a scam, and it shouldn't be. But understand that if you decide to undertake a program of preloading products and using an addendum sticker to highlight those features, you're working possibly against a headwind of people who have been told that this is a scam. If you do it right, it isn't. But if you do it wrong, you could be accused of running a scam at your dealership. Addendum stickers add appropriate products and services to the vehicle price. It is a technique for holding front-end gross. But if you're going to do it, know that you must train your sales staff, because the products that you're preloading and advertising on an addendum sticker are typically sold in the F&I office. But here, they're part of the initial encounter a customer has with a given vehicle. And as such, your sales representative, your sales associate, needs to be able to explain what are those products that are reflected on the addendum sticker, what is the value that each one of those products brings to the deal, and why this is in fact a good deal. You must train your sales staff. If you don't, I would suggest you not do preloaded products. And as I mentioned, the products must be appropriate. You would never preload Gap on a car when you do not know if it's going to be a cash deal or if there's going to be an enormous amount of down payment or trade equity. The products to be appropriate, the services to be appropriate, must enhance the experience of every customer, whether that customer be cash, finance, or lease. Let's take a closer look at an actual addendum sticker. The products should be individually priced. They should always be identified as options, not mandatory, and they need to be reasonably priced. Don't gouge. As a general principle, gouging will always get you in trouble. Make sure the products are reasonably priced. Let's examine one in greater detail. Let's start at the top with the MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested retail price. And then we identify the preloaded products, and again, we identify them as options. In this case, each one of them is identified by name with a very brief description. Remember, the full product descriptions will be provided at delivery when the customer receives the contracts that back them up. They're identified by name, by function, and their individual price. This should be the price at which they would be offered in the F&I box. Then you come up with a subtotal, and in this case, it's $1,399. But part of being reasonable is building value, giving actual value. In exchange for accepting this bundle of optional products, the dealer here offers a package discount of $400 for a net additional cost of $999, or a total to begin the price negotiation of $34,999. Please note, some states treat F&I products differently. Florida, for example, has what we call 634 products that are governed by Florida statutes, Chapter 634. And under that chapter, dealers are required to sell products at their filed and approved rates. So there may be some local variations. That's why we say consult your own local attorney before you undertake this program. At the bottom, we often see this language. The items listed are optional and subject to negotiation. It's important. Once again, make it clear, all caps, these things are optional, because this is a car deal, isn't it? Everything's negotiable. Don't fight it. There are different classes of preloaded products. The ones with which we are most familiar and we see most often are called hard adds. Hard adds are items that are actually attached to the vehicle. They're tangible, and they may be included in line 1 of the retail installment sale contract. They should still be listed as an option. You might need to actually remove them to sell the car. For example, on this addendum sticker, we see wheel locks. That's an actual tangible item that is attached to the vehicle, but they can be removed. Low jack. It's a tangible option installed on the vehicle, but it too can be removed. And clear bra. All of them are hard adds, physical things added to the car itself, but they can be removed. Always label them as options. On the other side of the spectrum, we call soft adds. Soft adds are intangible items that protect the vehicle or the transaction. Nothing is actually attached or applied to the vehicle itself. For example, a lifetime powertrain warranty, or key replacement, or prepaid maintenance. In those cases, nothing is actually added to the vehicle, and we call them soft adds. But there's another category, and I may have just made this one up. I call them squishy adds. They sort of fall between hard adds and soft adds. These are products that involve some application, usually chemical, but the bulk of the cost and the bulk of the value comes from the insurance-backed guarantee of the product's performance. Examples of what I call squishy adds are paint protection, fabric protection, and windshield protection. Where this becomes important is within the retail installment sale contract, because hard adds actually go in line 1 of the installment sale contract. That's because they're actually part of the value of the collateral securing the transaction. They go in line 1, whereas soft adds go into line 4, and in this example, line 4 subsection M, other charges. Where do squishy adds go, which do involve an actual application to the vehicle, but also include an insurance-backed component? The answer there is talk to your local lawyer and talk to your finance source. Ask the bank or the captive finance company where they want you to put those squishy adds. And when you get their advice, please get it in writing. Remember guiding principle number 4, document every step. We call this episode Preloads, Profits, and Payment Packing. Now you know what preloads are, and you better know what profits are. Let's talk a little bit about payment packing, because profits and preloads can be very, very good things. Payment packing, always bad, and you must avoid it. The best definition I've seen in one spot for what payment packing is comes from the National Association of Attorneys General. In a resolution they adopted in 1999, they defined payment packing as the deceptive practice of misrepresenting monthly payments to consumers during auto sales and lease negotiations in order to facilitate the sale of automobile-related products and services. If you do preloads wrong, it can fall within the definition of payment packing and get you into deep, deep trouble. Remember, payment packing isn't reflected in the installment sale contract or the lease agreement. Payment packing starts at the first pencil when you begin to discuss payments. We have modern technology and software that makes it possible to present incredibly accurate, clear, and unambiguous payment quotes. You should use that technology so there's no ambiguity about what is included or excluded from the payments you quote to consumers early in the process. But all too often we see this as a payment quote or a worksheet. And when you look at this months after the transaction, it is very, very difficult to articulate what was actually proposed. And it's even more difficult to explain what did the customer understand was in that payment. Far better to have a payment that looks like this. Because the key fact is the following. Is there a clear and accurate payment quote for the vehicle alone, or with the preloaded options clearly identified? This is an example of a good payment quote that includes preloaded products. You start by identifying the vehicle by make and model, perhaps even by VIN, and then the vehicle price. But below that and in close proximity, you say what that payment or what that price includes. And in this case, includes lifetime powertrain coverage and 1 year of identity recovery and monitoring, external appearance protection, key replacement, and prepaid maintenance. And in close proximity to that disclosure, record the customer's initials. Ask the customer to initial it to prove that you explained it and the customer understood it. Then put down your standard matrix of payment options, of finance options, including customer cash, that combination of down payment and trade equity, and some reasonable options for payment term. In this example, we use 60 months, 66 months, and 72 months. And that is because the average finance term today is closer to 66 months than to 60. Very few people are financing over 36 or 48 months. And while that may be true in certain cases, those remain the exception. So unless you can prove that a 36 or a 48-month term is normal at your dealership, go with 60, 66, and 72, or whatever accurately reflects the average payment terms at your dealership. Show a reasonable APR at first pencil before you know the actual APR for which a customer will otherwise qualify. What is a reasonable APR? Well, one would be the average over the last 90 days at your dealership, updated with some great frequency. But that's a little bit cumbersome and can fall out of use fairly easily. So a different option would be choose your captive finance company's Tier 2 rate and use that consistently for first pencil or until you actually know the APR for which this customer qualifies. Never pull a bureau, never pull a credit report of a customer without getting that customer's written permission to do so. And then at the bottom of all these payment quotes, somebody you're going to negotiate from this, a customer will circle the option that works best for him, and then below that, have a signature. But what are you signing for? You're not agreeing to buy a car. Rather, in this example, I understand the above options as explained to me and agree to continue negotiations based on the option selected. That is a good thing to have a customer sign in agreement. Mr. Customer, we're not asking you to buy the car right now. You can walk away at any time. But we want to record the fact that we've explained to you all of the variables that go into this payment. Do this, and you do well, and you will avoid even the appearance of payment packing. But if you do it like this, where you simply have the preload included price at the top, and no initials, and no disclosure, and those payment options all include product that have not been explained to the customer and acknowledged by the customer, this is what payment packing looks like. Even if all of the paperwork and all of the numbers add up appropriately in the installment sale contract or lease agreement. My good friend Terry O'Loughlin wrote an article called The Return of the Leg back in 2015. That's some years ago, but it's still a really good resource. In this article, Terry explains that the way to pack payments involve rate, term, and product. You can pack a payment, meaning artificially inflate it, by using a higher than normal or a higher than reasonable APR. Or you can pack a payment by using a shorter than reasonable term, 36 months instead of 66 months. Or you can pack a payment by including product without clearly explaining to the customer what products are in that payment, that they are optional, what their prices are individually, and they can delete them from the deal if they wish. But they all end at the same spot, payment packing. Payment packing is marked by leg. Leg is the key thing, measured against a clear and unambiguous base payment. If your quoted price, if your quoted payment includes anything other than the negotiated price of the vehicle, financed at a reasonable rate and a reasonable term, the odds are it's going to be payment packing. Avoid it like the plague. So, what are our key takeaways here? Number one, disclose that the preloads are dealer-added options and are subject to negotiation. We're not cramming anything down a customer's throat. Build value, build trust. Two, do not include soft ads in line 1 of the retail installment sale contract. If you do, that could be construed as bank fraud and wire fraud because you're overstating the value of the collateral. 3, clearly disclose the inclusion of the preloaded products in the first pencil and get the customer's signature to document understanding and consent early in the process. 4, always use representative rate and term. Use them consistently. 5, don't gouge. Be sure the preloaded products are priced appropriately, perhaps at a meaningful discount below what they would cost individually if purchased separately. 6, use consistent, non-discriminatory pricing. And 7, if the product is a hard ad and it's on the addendum sticker, be sure it's actually on the vehicle.